Welcome, and thank you for your time today. When I last spoke at this forum 2 years ago, we were in a room in Brisbane's South Bank, and there were about 150 of us there. How times have changed. I couldn't address you today in real time because as you are watching this, I'm travelling to a coal mine in central Queensland. The cyber conference room we are in today has many more attendees than 2 years ago thanks to modern technology. Of course, we have this technology due to the world's ability to produce it, and I'll touch on this a little bit later. I've been asked to address resources opportunities in Queensland, and particularly our Northwest Minerals Province. The Northwest, and particularly its unofficial capital Mount Isa, is an historical resources contributor to this state's development and economy. I'll detail what our government is doing to drive the development of this region's rich resources, particularly its new economy minerals. But first, I have to address the COVID-19 pandemic. There is no part of our economy, nor of the world's economy, that has not felt its impact. Here in Queensland, our state government acted early and decisively, declaring a public health emergency in January. We put in place restrictions to save lives, that we are well and truly aware that business has been hit. Business and industry have been hit hard. In recognition of this, we have put millions of dollars of assistance and stimulus in place. Throughout this, my department and I have worked closely with the resources sector, with unions and with health officials to protect the resources workforce and the regional communities the industry operates in, while continuing operations. Again, here in Queensland, the resources sector has fared better than many others as economies worldwide struggle. It's true, oil and coal prices are taking a massive hit. However, despite this, Queensland continues to attract resources investment. Only 2 months ago, right in the thick of the world's economic uncertainty, PetroChina and Shell gave the green light to Arrow Energy's $10 billion Surat gas project in southern Queensland. This is the biggest gas investment of this magnitude in this state in a decade. It will create 1,000 jobs, valuable jobs in these changing times. Only last week, we also saw Glencore come one step closer to the $1.5 billion and 2,350 job Valeria coal mine. This project is now being fast-tracked by the state's independent Coordinator General, and there's plenty more on the way. In fact, we have some $9.9 billion in annual investment expenditure going on in this state. These figures, these projects, haven't come here by chance or on a whim. They've come here because in Queensland, we have the right environment for investment. Just last week in Parliament, the Premier outlined the government's economic roadmap to build Queensland back up after COVID-19. Our Unite and Recover strategy outlines our guiding principles to get our economy back on track with a focus on 3 key priorities. We're going to build infrastructure. We're going to strengthen Queensland industries, and we're going to enable future growth. We'll strengthen our traditional industries, including our very important resources sector, and we'll build on our emerging industries. And here, for instance, I'm talking about renewable energy. In 2019, the resources sector generated $70 billion in export revenue for Queensland, accounting for 82% of the state's overseas merchandise exports. And it was run by 66,000 resources workers. We know that Queensland resources industry will remain a strength as we recover, because we have what the world needs now and also into the future. We have energy, fuels, metals to create new technology. We've got the resources. We've got the ability to get them out of the ground. We've got the supply chain to get them into market. And we've got the low sovereign risks needed to make sure that these projects happen. When our LNG industry was launched a decade ago, we said it would be 10 years before we'd see peak production. Today, our LNG exports to China have seen massive increases, and we are on the edge of a revolutionary new clean and renewable resource industry in hydrogen that the government is determined to capitalise on. Over the past 5 years, the Palaszczuk government has facilitated $20 billion of investment in the resources sector, supporting more than 7,000 jobs. And we have new metallurgical coal, bauxite and zinc mines. We're supporting the continued diversification of our resources sector through exploration and the commercialisation of mining technology businesses, startups and innovators. We talked before about technology. Here in Queensland, we are rich in the minerals needed to manufacture the computers, smartphones, renewable energy components. We have everything that we need, including batteries needed to store renewable power. These new economy minerals are to be found in the Northwest Minerals Province. For those who aren't aware, this is a massive corridor reaching all the way from Mount Isa through to Townsville. Late last year, I announced a $13.8 million to open up the untapped new economy minerals bounty in the Northwest and foster new discoveries, new projects, and most importantly, new jobs. The funding package aims to encourage new exploration, reinvestigate old mines, and probe the geological information that my department holds already in our libraries. At the height of the pandemic, we acted to maintain our explorers. We waived rent on exploration land, froze fees and charges, released almost 7,000 more square kilometres of land for gas and mineral exploration, and brought forward some of the funding for new economy minerals exploration. Just last week, we tipped in another $10 million into supporting further exploration for new economy minerals. As I said earlier, these minerals are central and one of our emerging strengths. These minerals are invaluable for renewable energy. Queensland is undergoing a renewable energy revolution, and renewables are part of our post-COVID economic recovery plan. 5 years ago, when we were elected, just 5% of our energy was generated by renewables. By the end of this year, we'll be over 20%. Since 2015, 39 large-scale renewable energy projects have commenced operations or are financially committed, representing around $6.6 billion in investment. We have a new publicly owned renewable generation company with $250 million and a remit to bring on 1,000 megawatts of new generation by 2025. There is also continued private sector investment in Queensland's renewable energy industry. Northwest of Brisbane, near Wandoan, Shell is building a 120 megawatt solar farm, and nearby AGL and Vena Energy are developing a 100 megawatt battery, which will eventually be fully solar charged. We also have strengths in hydrogen. Geoscience Australia analysis shows that Queensland and the Northern Territory have the greatest potential for renewable hydrogen. And that's because of both the investments made in large-scale renewable energy and the infrastructure developed for the LNG export industry. That's right. Renewable energy and the infrastructure we already have will support our hydrogen industry. And we're not leaving the opportunity to chance. A 5-year hydrogen industry strategy commenced last year, and Queensland is at the forefront of renewable hydrogen production now and also into the future. In closing, let me say, these are difficult times here and around the globe. Queensland, we acted early to contain COVID-19, and we have acted early to put in place an economic strategy to recover. I invite you, open your checkbooks, invest in Queensland's world-class resources and energy opportunities, and join us in our recovery. Thank you. May the conference be an absolute success.